Welcome back to another Micmac Tabletop Review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Beretta 418 Panther 25 caliber semi-automatic pistol. This is the iconic Beretta 418 Panther, Italian made and chambered for 25 ACP. This one has a date stamp of 1958. Now what makes the Beretta Panther iconic? The fictional spy character James Bond of 007 fame. As most of you probably already know, the famous Walther PPK was not James Bond's original pistol. In our introduction to the famous spy in Ian Fleming's first 007 novel, Casino Royale, James Bond's weapon of choice is actually the Beretta 418, not the PPK. In fact, the Beretta 418 was Bond's weapon throughout the first 5 Fleming novels. And if you've watched the first James Bond movie, the 1962 film Dr. No, you may recall during the beginning of the film when Bond is forced to give up his beloved Beretta for the required issued PPK. From Fleming's novels, we know that Bond had carried the Beretta for 15 years, so no wonder his attachment. But when difficulties drawing his Beretta with a silencer attached almost got him killed, his handlers forced the change to the PPK, which would eventually become synonymous with the 007 character. And so much for the fleeting fictional spy connection of the Beretta 418 Panther to James Bond. I picked this one up a few months ago. Nice little pistol in excellent condition. It had a $400 price tag on it, which was actually a pretty good price given the average price of a Beretta Panther today is closer to $550, but surprisingly my offer of $350 was enough to bring it home. Now before we go any further, let's make sure this gun is cleared first. And by the way, if you enjoy this review, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The history of the Beretta 418 goes back to the 1919 pocket pistol, the Beretta 1919. This Italian-made post-war pistol would evolve by 1937 into the tiny vest pocket Beretta 418 and would become the first of the small Beretta pistols to be given a cat nickname, in this case, the Panther. The Beretta Panther's production would span from 1946 to 1959. So this one, with a production date of 1958, would have been one of the last produced. Note that it's stamped Made in Italy on the right side of the slide, so it was meant for export. Today's modern Beretta Tomcat 32 and Beretta Bobcat 22 are descendants of the 418 Panther. And while these Tomcat and Bobcat pistols always have been highly respected for their function and quality, they never have been at the top of popularity. And the same could be said for the Beretta 418 Panther. For whatever reason, back in its day, the 418 never really reached the level of popularity of, let's say, the Colt 1908 Vest Pocket, for example. Nonetheless, Beretta's current feline family of pocket pistols are still in production and feature some of the interesting design choices that still prove desirable for those searching for their perfect pocket pistol or backup gun. And probably more importantly, the Beretta 418, after 6.5 decades, continues to enjoy a fairly high value as a collectible and quite functional pocket pistol. As you may know, today's Beretta pocket pistols, like the Bobcat and Tomcat, come in nice plastic cases. But unfortunately, 60-some years ago, this gun probably would have had a cardboard box, although some importers may have provided something better. This one didn't come with anything except one magazine. Originally, the Beretta 418 Panther may have come with some instructional paperwork, perhaps in Italian, English, French, and German, and may have even come with an additional magazine. Now this is usually where I provide movie connections on the firearms I'm reviewing, and while the Beretta 418 has been used in a number of US-made movies, I think it would be most appropriate to mention some of the 007 Bond films. Of course, we have the first movie in the Bond franchise, the 1962 film Dr. No. And we have the second film, From Russia with Love, in 1963. And if you look for it in the opening credits of the 1987 film The Living Daylights, you'll also see the Beretta 418. Pretty cool. The Beretta 418 Panther is a small Italian-made 8-round single-action only striker-fired semi-automatic blowback pistol chambered for 25 ACP. The overall length is 5.75 inches. Barrel length is 3.5 inches. Height is 3.5 inches. Width is 7/8 inch at the grips. Unloaded weight is 10.25 ounces. The barrel and the slide are blue carbon steel. The frame is anodized aluminum black. The safety rotates down to unlock. The safety also acts as a slide lock. Push up to lock the slide open. There's also a safety grip. Sights are small, machined into the slide. Slide serrations on the rear of the slide are crisp and provide a good grasp. This is a striker-fired gun, so no exposed hammer. The grips are black plastic. Note the firing pin end acts as a loaded chamber indicator. The magazine release is a heel type. The 8-round magazine has an open frame. I've loaded dummy rounds for demonstration purposes. There's no magazine disconnect, so this gun can be fired without the magazine inserted. The single action trigger has about a 6-pound pull with maybe a 1/4 inch of stiff travel. Trigger reset is about a 1/4 inch with a light click. The Beretta 418 is small but feels bigger in the hand than you might expect. I have large hands with long fingers, but getting a couple of fingers around the grips was no problem. The grips have good stippling for firm grip. The gun feels good in the hand. Loading the magazine was easy, even though the magazine spring seems a bit stiff. The open slide helps. The magazine fits snugly in the well with a reassuring click. Racking the slide is sure, smooth, and light. Nice slide serrations help. You don't really notice the gun's grip safety. The sights are quite small, but the 418 is probably best to be viewed as a close-up get-off-me pistol anyhow. So I set the target out to 15 feet for this trial, which I think is a good training range for pocket pistols. The Panther's trigger is adequate. As you might expect with a small 25 caliber pistol, muzzle lift was minimal, as was recoil. Easy to stay on target. Easy to shoot. Accuracy was actually decent. Here we are at the range with the Beretta Panther. We're starting off with the target set out to 15 feet, which I think is a good training distance with these close-up small point-and-shoot guns. That's actually pretty good for a 5-inch target at 15 feet, so let's move the target out to 18 feet and try a little rapid fire. Again, not bad for a tiny gun like this. As tiny as these sights are, I can still get a decent sight picture. Here we are another day back at the range with the Beretta Panther 418. I found a few more 25 caliber rounds. 25 caliber ammo is quite expensive today, so I'm only going to shoot a few more here. But let's move the target out to 25 feet, my typical training distance, and see how we do. I already shot a magazine before I remembered to turn the second camera on. I hate it when I do that. All my shots are on target at 25 feet. Can't expect much better than that. This is a nice little gun. As for cons, my biggest complaint is that if I have it in the on position, the frame safety can engage the slide when I've racked the slide back too far, which can lock the slide open when I was just trying to charge the gun. And I find the trigger quite stiff, but it's probably okay for safety purposes as a pocket carry weapon. And personally, I prefer double single action pistols. The Beretta Panther is single action only. And I know that there are many who don't like a rotating frame safety, especially given the stiff trigger pull and the fact that this gun also has a grip safety. Of course, we should also acknowledge the Beretta Panther is well beyond its prime. And yes, the 25 caliber round is ballistically anemic and too expensive. It is important to note that this gun was designed before hollow point ammo, but that's not the gun's fault. Even so, it does date the Beretta Panther's effectiveness, something to consider. What about pros? If you like small, well-made pistols that actually work, you're going to really like this Beretta Panther. This is such a well-made little vest pocket pistol. Fit and finish are excellent, smooth all over, no snag points. The action is very smooth as well, and the accuracy is much better than you might expect. Importantly, reliability has been flawless. I view the striker ready indicator, which is just an extension from the firing pin outward, a great little feature allowing the user to check the condition of the firearm without looking. To be honest, this feature isn't unique to the Beretta 418. You'll find the same on the Bertinelli 25 and the Bauer 25 and a host of cheap Jennings firearms, but it's still a practical and very nice feature. If you had this pistol in your pocket, you could feel for the protrusion from the rear of the slide, and you know immediately if your gun was primed or not. Otherwise, if not for the weak rounds, this would be a really great little backup pistol. It's so small and light, if you can't conceal this little guy, you're not trying. Actually, for deep undercover, perhaps it would make a good option. Certainly one of the best I can think of. For its reliability, size, and weight, in my opinion, is better than the Bauer 25 or the Bertinelli 25, and better than any pocket 22 I can think of. The Beretta 418 Panther is fairly easy to maintain. To field strip, make sure the gun is cleared first. Remove the magazine. Put the safety on. It's what will hold the slide back when it hits this notch on the slide. Pull the slide all the way back until it locks into position. Then push the barrel back. It may require a little tap to loosen it. Once loose, push the barrel back and up and then remove it. Then move the slide forward and off the frame. Remove the recoil rod and spring. Hold on to the firing pin and spring and pull the trigger, lifting the unit up and off. There are three parts here: the firing pin, the spring, and the follower. You can easily remove the safety lever at this point if you like. That's it. Reassembly is just the opposite steps. Note that the flat side of the firing pin faces down, and the little wedge here is what catches onto the sear when in place. Put the firing pin, spring, and follower unit back together and insert into the rear of the frame. Return the safety lever if removed. Return the recoil spring and rod. Return the slide to the frame, locking back with the safety up. Return the barrel to the slide and lock forward. You might need to tap the barrel forward to get it into the full forward position. Release the safety to release the slide. Return the magazine and test for function. That's it. True Gun Value currently suggests a value of $560 for a used Beretta 418 Panther. I know that sounds like a lot for such a little underpowered and rather old pocket pistol. Heck, you could buy a Decamp 32 for less than that. True, but let's say you wanted to buy another old sought-after vest pocket pistol, the Colt 1908. You could easily expect to pay $750 today. For $200 less, you could consider the Panther a real bargain. Now personally, I'd argue that the Beretta is actually the better pistol, but that doesn't matter. The Colt will still cost you more. and that's just the way things go. So we see that the Beretta 418 is highly respected in the market and could actually be considered one of the more affordable collectibles as well. Trade-in value of the Beretta Panther is listed at about $365. That's pretty good considering that a new in-the-box Beretta 418 could sell for way more than $1,000. And actual recent sale records show real prices for the 418 at about $500 to $750. Now you might understand why I was so excited to see one in such beautiful condition for only $400. And to get it for $350? Wow, what a heck of a bargain. But it also should remind you that bargains can still be found. And although my lower offers are usually rejected, you never know what can happen if you respectfully offer just a little less. Now before we end today's video, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching. In summary, the Beretta 418 Panther was the fictional spy character James Bond's first love, as far as personal firearms go, that is. Yes, it's underpowered with limited capacity, but spending some time with this little vest pocket pistol has convinced me that this tiny gun has actual potential as a functional, reliable backup piece. Now, it's certainly not a plinking or range gun, and with the high costs of 25 ACP ammo today, it's undoubtedly expensive to operate. But it's very slim and lightweight and very easy to hide. It's very well made, it's reliable, it handles great, and it's more accurate than you would expect. True, the 25 caliber round may not be much better than a 22, but if comfort, concealment, and reliability are the primary issues, the Beretta 418 is going to be very hard to beat. And compared to the cost of other well-made vest pocket pistols, it's reasonably priced for what you get. Well, to wrap up, I've had this Beretta Panther for a few months now to play with, so what do I think? To begin with, I'm sorry, but personally, I think it's really a little silly weapon for a world-class spy to be carrying. The PPK does make much more sense, but to be honest, I do really like this gun. And more than that, I'm impressed with it. First thing is that I'm impressed with its function. Smooth, flawless, and very comfortable. By the way, I'll admit that I've only run a box of 50 Fiocchi 50 grain full metal jacket rounds through this gun so far, but without a single problem. The second thing I'm impressed with is its gun accuracy. For such a little gun, its performance on the range was much better than I expected for a close-up weapon. Third, I'm very impressed with this gun's quality of build. Fit and finish are just plain outstanding. I'll admit that I expected this gun to be more hype than substance due to its James Bond connection, and I'm not thrilled with its single action only trigger design. But otherwise, it's a very nice, almost what I'd call classy, even elegant pocket pistol, and an excellent addition to my collection. I'm certainly glad I picked this one up. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.
007.
Sir?
Just leave the Beretta.